Well, good evening, everybody. It's good to be with you. Everyone who drinks of this water will be thirsty again. Everyone who drinks of this water will be thirsty again. I think we know what Jesus means by that. One of the the first word that many of my nieces and nephews learned, even before they could ever say it with their mouths, ever before they could speak, was the word more. The word more. They knew how to say it in sign language. Their babysitter taught them how to say more. And so there they'd be in their high chair just doing this, more. It's impossible to tell a baby no when they're doing this. This infinite appetite has continued in them. Whenever I go back home, my younger nephews, I'm playing around with them. I'll pick them up by their ankles, I'll flip them around, and I'll reach them up to the ceiling so they can walk on the ceiling, and I'll do that until I'm nearly dead, and then I'll put them back down and immediately do it again. Lou Holtz, who just passed away this week, the great Notre Dame football coach, said if you want to be happy for an hour, eat a steak. If you want to be happy for a day, go golfing, and so on and so forth. What's he mean by that? Yes, we can find true happiness and real contentment in this life, but it's always fleeting. Everyone who drinks of this water will be thirsty again. This infinite thirst that we have, what do we do about that? What do we do with that? I think that's what Jesus is getting at this weekend. With the help of C.S. Lewis, I think there's a couple different ways that we can go about trying to find and feed this infinite thirst. The first way is to try and keep on filling ourselves up with more and more. We have this infinite desire, and so we think, maybe on the other side of the next thing, I'll finally find the happiness that I'm seeking. We fill our lives with more and more things. We fill up our credit cards. We fill up our closets, always thinking, maybe this next thing, that's going to do it. And it never finally does. Yeah, we might find some experience of satisfaction, some experience of happiness. But little by little, we just find that our lives are becoming more and more filled. We're in Iowa City. We all probably have seen one of these before, this infinite thirst that we have. How do we try to quench it? Well, the red Solo cup. We get one, we try and fill our thirst with this, but it doesn't quite do it, and so what do we have to do? Well, we just start getting as many red Solo cups as possible, trying to fill this infinite thirst, and it never quite does it. Yeah, we might have some fun along the way and experience some contentment, some happiness, but there's still something. There's still something that's missing. This is the route that many who suffer from addiction find. One of the sayings in those in recovery is, one is not enough. No, one is too many, and 1,000 is not enough. We can fill ourselves up, and still be thirsty. But there's another route that we can take, and that's to grow disillusioned. I've tried to find happiness, I've tried to find fulfillment, and was always coming up empty. And so we grow reasonable. We settle in. Maybe it's not possible. Maybe I'm not actually made for true and lasting kind of happiness. Maybe a true and lasting kind of love isn't, in fact, in the cards for me. We settle down, and in our disillusionment, we become a bit broken. It's even actually being fulfilled at all. To use the same image, we become a red Solo cup that's unable to be filled anymore because we've grown so accustomed to not finding exactly what it is we were looking for. Now, in our gospel today, we have this Samaritan woman at the well. Which route had she taken? We know she's had 5 husbands. She's on her 6th man now. Is she falling into that first trap of, maybe I just need to find it in the next man, the next thing, and then I'll finally find the happiness, the contentment, and love that I'm hungering, I'm thirsty for? It's possible. Or is she disillusioned about it all? Because the fact is that at this time and in this place, women weren't even able to initiate a divorce. And so chances are that she was never the one to leave these marriages. She was the one who was left. And having been left already 5 times, perhaps by now she's disillusioned at the prospects that there is a real kind of happiness, a real kind of love that she could truly experience. Maybe that's her. We don't know which one it is. What we do know is that there are some among us here tonight that might find ourselves in that first camp, always seeking our happiness in the next thing. And then there are some among us who are maybe feeling a bit disillusioned at it all. But for us and for the woman, the solution is one and the same. And it's the Lord who is already there at the well waiting for her. Whether she is just in her thirst, trying to find the next best thing, it's Jesus there that has sought her out, and it's actually Jesus who's underneath all of the desires of the human heart. St. Augustine said, "Lord, you have made us for yourself, and our heart is restless until it rests in you." Behind every single decision that we make is some good that we are trying to get. Behind every choice we make, there is some hidden good that we think that thing is going to provide us with. Now, we know sometimes we misperceive all of this and things get twisted. But because God made us and He made us for Himself, every desire that we have, if we truly uncover what it is we most deeply want, is actually leading us back to God. G.K. Chesterton said that the man who's knocking at the door of the brothel is looking for God. The man who is knocking at the door of the brothel is actually looking for God. What did he mean by that? That underneath that man's desires, underneath that man's choice, in that man's heart is this desire for something that's going to fulfill him. But it's ultimately only God that will fulfill him. And so if I can start to understand what is it deep down that I'm seeking? What is it deep down that I desire? I can begin to reroute things back to the Lord who ultimately satisfies. The Lord who is there waiting at the well for this woman. But if we're more in the disillusioned camp, I've tried to find happiness. I've tried to find contentment, and I've come up short so many times, I just don't think it's possible anymore. Well, Jesus is waiting at the well for you too. The Psalms tells us that the Lord is close to the brokenhearted. And sometimes it's true that God has to break a heart to enter it. And that's what happens to this woman today. Whether it's in her this constant thirst for more or in just this desert that her life has become, Jesus is found by her already waiting for her. And in each one of our lives, the goal is to allow the Lord to find us in our desires and in our deserts. Now, how do we do that? How do we do that? Well, perhaps it's as simple but also as hard as our prayer. That when I can start to recognize what it is I'm seeking, what it is I want, what it is I'm desiring, and I name it. But then in prayer, I say, Jesus, this is what I'm seeking. I give the Lord the opportunity and the permission to start to fill me up in that place. But also, if I'm disillusioned and feel a bit broken, I say, Jesus, this is where I'm hurting. This is where I've tried to fill myself up and yet have come up empty. That gives the Lord the opportunity and the permission to fill us up there. And so, friends, this week, let us listen to our desires, but let them lead us to the Lord, who gives us the living water that we can drink of and forever be satisfied.